Okay, so that was an example of Sony's new focus technology, which has this long name of Lock-On Autofocus Expand Flexible Spot. That's quite a mouthful, but it's a brand new technology and hasn't been available anywhere up until the new Sony a77 Mark II. And let me show you how it works. So what happens here is, let's go back. I'll scroll back, and then you see that this player is coming toward us, and he has got a center spot. See that black spot right there? That is your flexible spot. That means you can use your joystick and move around the entire field until you pick the one nearest the thing that you want to focus. The trick with Lock-On Autofocus expandable flexible spot is that once you pick something and hold your finger down halfway, as long as you don't let go, the camera will hang on to that item that you focused on. And the way that it does it is that it will pass the focus points from that black dot to all around the screen, depending on how your subject moves. So you see right now the black dot is off of my player, but there's still a green dot on my player as he's running. So all these green dots line up, and he says all of those spots are in focus. So his elbow and his thigh and his midsection are all in focus, and as he's running, he keeps going. Now you'll notice right here we've lost that little focus spot because it's now been completely taken over by the lock-on focus. So as he's running, it hangs on to him, and these little blackouts here are shots being taken by my camera. So you'll notice as he's going, now look at the other players, how they're not in focus, but this guy is. You can't really tell right here until they all kind of get in front of him. But now you'll see he's still in focus, and as he's running, this other player is going to cross in front of him. You see that? So this player is now in front of him, and theoretically, the camera should have grabbed onto the player in black because he's now run into the center of the screen, but it hasn't, because it knows that what we wanted to do, so long as we hold down that fire button either halfway down or during firing, it will hang on to the thing that you originally shot. And so right here you'll see that my guy is still in focus. The guy in black is not in focus. It's locking onto my guy in red, and here this guy is now crossing in front, and the guy in red is still the focus of my shot. See him right there? He's still in focus, even though this guy has come right in front of him. Even though we're firing at 12 frames per second, we've still hung on to the guy in the red. And he's still hanging on right there. And so all of those shots, we were able to get that guy on the red. So I'll just go ahead and scroll back, and I'll show you what that looked like. So as he's coming, see the black dot right there? And so I've locked on, and the minute that I hang on to him, and as he runs, it's going to hang on to that guy, and in a speed that fast. Now let's go over to regular joystick, which would be not center. Center would be focus and recrop, but flexible spot. Now flexible spot is typically what you would use with a Canon or a Nikon, because you're going to use your little joystick on the camera to choose which spot you want it to focus on. So what winds up happening in a situation like this is I have got to choose my focus spot, or I could let the camera take over with what is called AI Servo. AI Servo would basically, it's called auto intelligence servo focusing, which means that it would try to pick the item it thinks that you want to be in focus. Unfortunately, most of the time that happens to be the item that's closest to the camera. So here in this situation, you'll notice as I'm going across, that black dot is trying to find something to focus on, and I've got to try to catch up. Now, when it goes green, that means it's found something in focus. So it's like, okay, well, that guy's in focus now, but these people are not, and now I'm trying to find something to focus on. So I've lost all of these shots. Look at all of these shots I've lost in trying to focus on this person. So the camera has no idea what I want. It doesn't know because I haven't christened one subject on the moving screen and said, this is the one of all these moving targets, this is the one that I want. So right there, still hasn't found anything to focus on. I'll go back here. You'll see when it went green, it was actually talking about the tree. Now that this guy ran in front of it, it stopped because it's not in focus. So it's desperately trying to find something to focus on. And I cannot move fast enough to find the guy. Now here is where I strike a tiny bit of gold. As he's crossed into my shot, now he pops into focus. Okay, so this is the guy in the black. Now he goes away, and the camera now is off again as it goes into focus, as it finds the goalie, the goal netting, and then it goes and finds him again. And this is typically what you would have with your typical non-electronic viewfinder system, like that would be found on a Canon or an Nikon or a Pentax, because think of a car with a regular glass windshield. That is what optical viewfinder is. But when you bring in the electronic viewfinder, now you have kind of like a heads-up display where, like a fighter pilot would have in his field of view all of these metrics. As you can see all around here, up on the top left, it says 12 frames per second. We're on autofocus continuous. All of this, by the way, will be explained step by step in my premium channel on how to unleash the power of your A77. This is dynamic range off, auto white balance, multi-zone metering, all of these things. This special effects thing is off. So it shows you all that, and also shoots that I'm shooting. It's getting pretty dark here, so at ISO 1600, this is about 6 p.m. at night, 1/1000th of a second at f3.5. And as I move forward, you can see that it's trying to find something, and now it's found the guy. He happened to cross in front of my screen, and then but still hasn't found anything. Now it found him again, but it's confused, finds a contrast point, and now it loses it because it can't. It's trying to find something to focus on. And this is typically what happens when you let the camera try to find its own focus point. Now here we've gotten pretty lucky. He's got right into our shot. And this is where the great sports shots come from, when you have the intuition to know when the subject is going to cross into your screen, and then you happen to fire right when your subject is right in the screen. And now he's gone out, and the camera is now trying to figure out what to focus on. Is it him? Yep, because he crossed in front of my screen. But now as he goes away, now we get the red guy. And this now he has just gone into focus. And then now he's just gone into focus. Okay, so what happens is when you're trying to pick the focus spot, the camera is completely confused as to what you want. So let's go back here and I'll show it to you in full speed. And I'll just kind of make note of how many shots we've lost on the way there. So all of this is going on, and blip, 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 whoops, blip, oh, there, blip, blip, blip. So what I could do is try to play whack-a-mole and use that little green, variable focus spot, and try to chase my subject around the screen by using my joystick and moving it, to the left and to the right and trying to find my target. And that's basically what you're stuck with most autofocus technology, is having to do that. And again, let's go back to what the Sony does with a Lock-On Autofocus Expand Flexible Spot. So as you can see here in pretty much all of these shots, it's found the one subject that I chose in the very beginning of the sequence, and that choice happens right there. Let's go back. Right there. Okay, so it hasn't focused yet. When I put my finger on it, activates the black thing, and it will allow me to choose any of these squares to emphasize. I've chosen that one there, which is not on the center. It's high of center, and then as I've picked it, the green light goes on. Once the green light goes on, it stays on the subject, and see right there, the green is still on, and it took over the black. At this point, the black is out of focus because it says, hey, that fence in the background is not in focus. But the computer inside the camera took over, and it now went to the green dots. Then it goes, at this point, it says, you know what, I don't need the black dot anymore. We're all on the object tracking. So this object tracking is something that's very unique to Sony. and the OLED viewfinder along with the system. But look at all of these shots. Every single one of these shots, I've got my guy right in the zone. The camera has decided to track him, even though there's other players coming around in front, even though this thing is shooting, as you see in the top left-hand corner, at 12 frames per second with a fixed aperture, and the auto ISO making all the exposure changes. It got all of those shots as the player was running up the field and getting crossed in front of. So that is the new technology, which is called Lock-On Autofocus Variable something. Let's take a look and see what it's called. Lock-On Autofocus Expand Flexible Spot. And that is a new technology that's available only on the Sony a77 Mark II.